How many of you guys don't feel like you have a really successful relationship when it comes to the concept of habits? Okay, so me neither. And so it made me start to study a few things when it comes to habits, because I wanted to understand much more about why, whenever I seemed to go about instituting a habit in my life, did I have a failure experience? And why was I chalking up these failure experiences? Because that's not what I'm interested in doing. Habits are something, when you study habits, habits are something that are run on a subconscious level. Okay, so a true habit is something like, I put the salt here. It's the habit of putting the salt there, right? We've heard before that we use 10% of our minds. You guys have heard that? That 90% of our minds we don't have access to. And there's people that philosophize about, oh, if we could only access like 14%, like we could levitate, or, you know, things would be insane. The truth is that our bodies are using our minds to process 90% of function that we don't need to have conscious awareness of. Like, my body has a habit of breathing. I'm excited about that. My body has a habit of blinking. My body has a habit of regulating all of these insane systems that are occurring for me to live. I then also put on the task of my automation where the salt goes, where this goes, all of these tiny little things that I don't want to consciously think about. So that's what a true habit is, right? How many of you guys have ever moved? Okay, like 17 times? Yeah, okay. How many of you, whenever you have moved, you have gotten exhausted? Absolutely. Okay, it's something called decision fatigue. The reason that it occurs is because all of a sudden in your life, you now consciously have to think about, where does the salt go? Where did we put the cups? Where is this? Where should that go? You're making all of these decisions. You get into a new kitchen and you completely forget what happened in the last kitchen. You're looking at cupboards going, well, what would make sense? And it's overwhelming about which plates should go on which shelf and why. And you move them around and it takes a long time. The average statistic is that it takes 90 days after you moved in somewhere for you to be able to recover from the decision fatigue of what occurred when you were moving. It's the reason why moving is so stressful. It's not gauged on your time before the move, it's gauged on your time after the move. Unpacking, looking for things, all of these things. And it puts an exhaustion on your conscious thought. So conscious thought, the 10% of what we've got, do we really want to automate something that we really care about, like eating healthy, like exercising every day? So when it comes to habits, there's a whole bunch of really successful books. 21 days to do this, 28 days to do this. This seems familiar? Okay. Curiously, so curiously, on average it takes actually 66 days for us to automate and program something into our subconscious. And that's the definition of a habit. 21 or 28 days, there is only one fact that is found when you take a look at the evidence in reported history. And it was one case study that was done. It's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and it was published in 1960. What he found was that it took on average 21 days for his patients to recover from their self-esteem issues after losing a limb. And this is the entire body of science that is leaning on the fact that all of us suck because in 21 days we can't get our shit together to be able to go running every single morning. So it's interesting to me when we discover things like this. What it's done in my life is allowed me to stop caring if I have the right habits or not. My body's got the right habits. I breathe. The subconscious stuff that's happening, it's fantastic. The conscious stuff, I don't want that automated. I want it to become something that is a decision. And so in my life, I don't work at achieving new habits. I work on instituting new practices. And practices are things that are not regimented. Practices are things that you do 70–80% of the time. practices are things that you make a choice to have alive in your life whenever you feel like having them alive in your life. And you are totally okay with the days that you don't have them alive because they're practices. And you don't have to practice every day. And having a relationship with the concept of practices as opposed to the prison of habits has changed the way that I give myself permission to learn and to feel good about my choices and my decisions. And so that's something that has a huge impact on the way that we think, the way that we build our own self-confidence, the way that we build our own self-esteem.